Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is NBATierz. Today we're going to be discussing the 2024 NBA free agency so far to this point. We're just here on NBA.com. It's got all the, reported deals here. So we're just going to go over, some of the moves that each of these teams have made either through the draft, which I kind of already did a video covering the draft, or through free agency. Just kind of discuss where every team is right now in their current construction. This video is being recorded early Tuesday morning. So, if there's moves after that, we'll kind of get into that as well. Free agency still has a long ways to go. Stars have been moving around. Lots of big moves have been made, trades and etc. But there's still more to come, right? We still got, maybe the Bulls will come off of Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Jazz are kind of teasing some Larry Markin and stuff. So still a lot that can happen. But we'll just kind of go through each team here, discuss the moves that have been made so far. I wanted to give it like a little bit of time before I made this video just to, make sure there was enough relevant moves to discuss. For teams that haven't really done much, we won't cover them too much because there might not be much to talk about. So let's just kind of look into it. In terms of the Hawks, Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance Jr. Join, coming over from the Pelicans, right, in the DeJounte Murray trade. Obviously, they added Zachary Ricochet in the draft. I'm not expecting them to be amazing this coming season based off of their current construction. Here, actually, we can look at their current roster. Yes, I mean, this is who they have. It's not even updated because DeJounte Murray's here. So, weird. But, yeah, I mean, they got the number one pick they used on Zachary Ricochet. Some found that as a questionable pick, as did I. I'm not sure if they're shopping Trae Young. I really don't know in which direction they're looking to go. So we'll see what the Atlanta Hawks come up with. But, I mean, they're the Hawks, right? So Boston's fine. They've just been re-signing all these guys with like this maximum GTA money glitch or whatever. Yeah, not much to talk about there. Obviously, the Brooklyn Nets came up off of Mikal Bridges and got Bojan Bogdanovic, and I believe it was picks, right? Like 4 first-round pick, or was it 5? Might have been 5 actually. So yeah, they're looking to go into full tank mode. They might be coming off of Ben Simmons. I think there's been reports of that, or other players that can help them win. They're just going full tank. You got guys like Cooper Flag, I believe Cameron Boozer, all these guys coming in this next upcoming draft. If you're just one of these absolutely trash bottom feeding teams and you don't have a chance to even make the playoffs or anything, why not just kind of just tank it, see if you can get one of these highly coveted prospects that are coming in next year. It's not worth the Nets being mediocre, competing from a 10 to a 13 seed. That just doesn't do anything, right? But some of these franchises are poorly ran, so, and we'll get into some of those. The Charlotte Hornets, haven't really done anything. Reggie Jackson joined via trade with the Nuggets. I don't remember what for. I do think it was just a pick, if I remember correctly, but who cares? Now we have the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, that was like the first move, right, of the offseason was the Josh Giddey trade. The Thunder traded Josh Giddey to the Chicago Bulls in return for Alex Caruso, just straight up 1-for-1. You hardly see that nowadays, but that happened. So interesting. The Bulls, I feel like, just throughout the 2023-24 season, and even going into this offseason, we're going to always just have, lots of inquiries about Alex Caruso. I feel like they were offered some better packages just this past season and would have been offered better packages this coming offseason that we're early into now. But, I mean, they wanted Josh Giddey. I heard they're trying to get off of Lonzo Ball as well as Zach LaVine, obviously. It's reported DeMar DeRozan, once this move was made, he was no longer interested in being a Chicago Bull. So maybe expect them to move off of him. If not this offseason, maybe early into next year. I really don't think he wants to be there just based off of what I saw. So why not just kind of groom some of this young talent? You signed Jalen Smith. He was the backup big for the Pacers, or one of them. Very underrated player. Can knock down some perimeter jumpers. Okay, defensively. Okay. He's like a skill four. Can play the five. Uh, and then Patrick Williams returns on the 5-year deal. I don't remember the exact details on that deal, but I'm fairly certain it was an overpay. Patrick Williams has shown me nothing so far in his NBA career. What was he, the fourth pick? Yikes. Yeah, the Bulls are just kind of in no man's land. I don't know why they're still holding on to Vucevic, DeRozan. Uh, I'm sure they'll move off Levine this offseason. So still, again, lots to come with the Chicago Bulls, you would think. And, we'll see what they end up doing. Donovan Mitchell just got extended yesterday, Monday, I believe. Kind of interesting considering some of the discourse that was around his name following the Cleveland Cavaliers flaming out in the playoffs this postseason, just this past postseason. I'm not sure if they're going to trade Darius Garland or move forward with this backcourt. I do think this backcourt has an upwards limit in terms of obviously defensive potential as well as how they play off of one another. Garland looked horrible this past season anytime Donovan Mitchell shared the court with him. So we'll see. Obviously, one of the big moves made was the Dallas Mavericks getting Klay Thompson from the Warriors via sign-in trade. That sent Josh Green to the Hornets, I believe. Did we already go to Charlotte? No, it wasn't the Hornets. Why do I feel like it was the Hornets? Josh Green got sent somewhere. Is this tracker completely updated? Who knows? But yeah, Josh Green got sent somewhere in that Klay Thompson deal. The Warriors got like 2 second-round picks or something like that. Yeah, I mean, this is better than Tim Hardaway Jr. at the bare minimum. Is Klay what he used to be? No. He felt slighted by the Warriors. It was reported that they had plans to bring him off the bench in favor of Brandon Pajemski. Now, if he had issue with coming off the bench there, I'm expecting that the Mavs guaranteed him a starting role, which beggars the question in terms of like they're going to be starting Luka, Klay, and Kyrie. They won't be a top 10 defense again. Let's just put it like that. So offensively, they're going to need Klay to just have a very efficient season. Hit his spot ups. Luka's going to throw him some very amazing passes. Obviously, Kyrie. These guys. They're gonna draw some attention. Klay's gonna get a lot of open looks. He's got to cash them. We'll see if he can do it consistently throughout an 82 game season and going into the playoffs. They also got Quentin Grimes in the trade with the Pistons. I believe this is the trade that sent Tim Hardaway Jr. to the Pistons. And Najee Marshall. He's a good player, underrated player. Some more defense for them. But in terms of just their starting lineup, I mean, it's just going to be P.J. Washington and Derek Lively, which I did see it reported that the Mavs this coming season expect to start Derek Lively. I think he has like Kevin Garnett or Joakim Noah defensive anchor potential or something like that. I don't know about that, but maybe. So the Dallas Mavericks, fresh off the NBA Finals appearance, they weren't lazy. They definitely made some moves. We'll see if this works out in their favor. They lost Derrick Jones Jr. I feel like that was kind of big for their defense, right? But he didn't do anything offensively. He was kind of unplayable. So Klay, at least from that end, makes him even more potent offensively because at times it felt like only Luka and Kyrie could do anything, and obviously Klay has no really self-creation at any high level, but he can have some nights where he drops 30, maybe even 40. So we'll see. The Dallas Mavericks will be fun to watch this coming season. The Nuggets have done nothing other than, I believe, lose Reggie Jackson. It's reported that Nikola Jokic has made a push for the front office to go after Russell Westbrook in the trade. So we'll see. I think Russell Westbrook re-signed with the Clippers, right? For like, what was it, 7-8 mil? Something cheap. Again, the Pistons get Tim Hardaway Jr. In that Quentin Grimes deal, I believe. They extended K with the rookie max, like 230 mil. Tobias Harris comes back to Pistons on a 2-year deal. And then Wendell Moore Jr. joins via a trade with the Wolves. I have no idea what that trade was. Yeah, I mean, they're the Pistons. They'll win more. They won 14 games this past season. Maybe they'll be somewhere in the mid-20s, 30 max. Um, they drafted Ron Holland, right? So that was big. Still kind of confused on what they're doing with their guard play, though. I don't know if Ron Holland's going to start. I don't know if he's going to play the two guard for them. I don't know if he's going to be the lead guard because they got him, Kate, Jay, and Ivy. You're probably only starting two of those guys, not all three. We'll see what they end up doing. Tobias Harris will more than likely start. I mean, yeah, we'll see what the Pistons end up doing. The Warriors have had an interesting off season so far to this point. They lost out on the Paul George sweepstakes. If Paul George would have opted into his contract with the Clippers, that would have made the Clippers more than likely trade him, and the Warriors would have been in the hunt. But Paul George opted out. It was reported the Clippers had no interest in doing business with Golden State. It's kind of conflicting reports on what Golden State offered. Some reports are saying it was Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, Moody, and picks. Some reports are saying Jonathan Kuminga was never in any of those packages. I will say if the Clippers did turn that down, they're kind of crazy because PG ended up walking for nothing. And while I do like some of these signings that the Clippers made, and we'll kind of get to that here soon, I think that adding some of those guys would have been pretty good for them. But yeah, nonetheless, the Warriors lose out on the Paul George sweepstakes. They waive Chris Paul. Of course, he signs with the Spurs. We'll get to that later. They got Lindy Walters from the Thunder in like a trade for, I think it was like a second round pick or something like that. And then they got DeAnthony Melton on a 1-year deal. Solid player. I think he spent some of last season injured. He started off starting the season for the Sixers. He's going to play good defense. He's going to knock down some threes. They kind of need that, but this is their biggest move to this point, and that isn't really moving the needle for them, right? So they're still going to be in play in contention. They're looking to make a move for Larry Markkinen, so we'll see. They also turned down like a trade for Zach LaVine. I believe the Bulls wanted like Wiggins and some other stuff. The Warriors weren't interested. The Warriors weren't interested in who was it? D'Angelo Russell. The Lakers offered them in the sign and trade for. I think that was for Clay, but we'll see what the Warriors end up doing. They're kind of in no man's land right now. Rockets haven't done much. Pacers just got Siakam on a 4-year deal, as well as Obi Toppin. See, the Clippers have made some moves, so they get Harden back on the 2-year deal. Mo Bamba comes over 1 year. They lost Mason Plumlee. Nick Batum comes back over. Derrick Jones Jr. comes over on the 3-year deal from the Mavs. And then Kevin Porter Jr. has found himself back in the NBA. They're going to have depth, which is something for as long as we can remember this franchise has always had. But now with the loss of Paul George, they are relying more on a James Harden, on a healthy Kawhi Leonard to kind of carry the load throughout the regular season, get them in good seeding. But, I mean, it's Kawhi, so we'll see how healthy he can be this upcoming season. Hopefully he plays a majority of it because he did play a majority of it just this past season but couldn't, finish out the playoffs. Lakers haven't done much. They drafted Dalton Connect, a good pick for them. He shouldn't have fell that far. Kind of worked out for them. They get Max Christie back. He was hardly playing. We'll see what JJ Redick does with him. I believe they are shopping D'Angelo Russell, so maybe there's still a move to be made in terms of roster construction. Grizzlies haven't done anything yet, nor do they need to. They drafted Zach Edey. They got Jaren Jackson Jr. If they were to make a move, it will maybe be trading Marcus Smart. I know the Rockets and Ime Udoka are high on Marcus Smart and kind of, looking into that. So maybe they get like a Dylan Brooks back or something. But I'm not sure how much they're looking to bring back Dylan Brooks after they scapegoated him. John Morant's going to be back healthy this coming season. The Grizzlies will be fine. They'll be one of the top 5 seeds in the West. So I'm not expecting them to make many major moves. I saw a report about the Heat where it was like Pat Riley isn't. The Heat haven't been hunting down and signing too many stars because of what was it like ego management and contract issues and some stupid stuff. But I mean, listen, man, you're not going to win. It's currently constructed. So I mean, but hey, do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. The Bucks we expected the Bucks to kind of have a major off season and kind of shuffle their roster around. To this point, they haven't done much. They did get DeLon Wright. This is a guard who can play defense, which is probably the only guard who can play defense on the roster. To be honest, they still have Pat Beverly, I guess. I think, right? Yeah. Um, but I mean, yeah, they haven't done much. They definitely need to build that roster better around Giannis and Dame. Get some more defense. Some POA defenders and whatnot. I don't know. There's just we knew the year one roster with just getting Dame wasn't going to be complete. And as they are currently constructed, I do not expect them, even with a healthy Giannis in the postseason, to be able to make too much of a run, especially with the 76ers acquiring Paul George. Some of the moves the Knicks made, obviously the Celtics are there as well. I do think there's just teams better than them right now. So, hopefully for their sake, they kind of get active here and make some moves. T-Wolves haven't done anything. They just got Luka Garza back on the 2-year deal. Obviously, they got Rob Dillingham through the draft in a trade with the Spurs. I think they got Terrence Shannon Jr. as well, who fell that far strictly because kind of the off court stuff he had going on. So I think they've shored up their bench a little bit, their second unit. They're going to be right back in the thick of things. As we said earlier, DeJounte Murray did go to the Pelicans in return for Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance Jr. And I think there was picks involved, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. The Pelicans are going to be interesting because at the end of the day, nothing matters if Zion can't stay healthy. Zion was beasting in the play-in just this past postseason, and they had a shot to legitimately make the playoffs. He gets hurt in that play-in game where he had 40. But hey, man, yeah, you can do all these moves, but if he's not going to be healthy, you can only go so far. They are looking to shop Brandon Ingram, I do believe. I think they're trying to keep CJ McCollum, and then obviously they lost out on Valanciunas, so I'm interested to see what they do with the center position on their roster. Hopefully something that does complement Zion's game as a stretch. I'm not sure what their money situation is, but maybe like a Vucevic. Like if they were to trade Ingram to the Bulls, maybe that's something the Bulls would be interested in. Defensively, with McCollum, Zion, Vucevic out there, that would be criminal, right? But offensively, Vucevic can space the floor for Zion, a lot better than the Valanciunas could have. And he can just kind of feast in the paint down there. You can have 4 shooters on the perimeter surrounding him. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there's some other moves to be made. We'll see what they end up doing. The Knicks obviously made one of the big home run swings. They got Mikal Bridges back. Or not back, but they got Mikal Bridges and then got OG Anunoby back, I should say. When they did trade for Bridges, again, it was, 5 first-round picks and Bojan Bogdanovic. A lot of people were saying that was like they were fine moving off of OG Anunoby, but they got both to return. And for their starting lineup and just things, there's a lot of different lineups I can see them rolling out. I can see both of these guys starting, of course, obviously with Jalen Brunson, obviously with Julius Randle. I haven't heard anything about them shopping Julius Randle, so I do expect them to come back. They lost out on Isaiah Hardenstein. It's kind of a blow to them, so it looks like Mitchell Robinson will be their starting 5 for now. So yeah, I can see that lineup. A Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Defensively, that is just mwah. I could see Dante, being thrown in there and maybe bring. No, I don't know. It's weird. They can do a lot of things, but I don't expect either of these guys to come off the bench just because I think defensively this is just such a duo. I would leave them both out there, to back up Jalen Brunson. You got Randall out there. You got Mitchell Robinson, doing what he does, protecting the rim and whatnot. So, and then, if you have DiVincenzo and Josh Hart coming off the bench, you're looking good. You're looking good. I think they're still holding on to Deuce McBride. They're going to be a problem in the Eastern Conference if they can stay healthy. The Oklahoma City Thunder were the number 1 seed just this past season, and it's looking like they're going to be the number 1 seed again going into next year, no lower than 3 if they stay healthy. So what they end up doing is, again, trading Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso. Giddey was unplayable in the playoffs. You cannot say the same for Alex Caruso. He's going to play some of the best POA defense in the league. He can hit some threes. and he doesn't need to take the ball out of SGA's hands to be effective. They get Isaiah Hardenstein. I'm interested to see if they will, because okay, so between Caruso and Hardenstein, only one of these new additions can start, right? Because you're gonna start Shea, you're gonna start Chet, J Dub, and I would expect you to start Lou Dort. So now, are they moving Chet to the 4 and they want to throw Hardenstein in there to start at the 5? Or are they bringing Hardenstein in as a backup 5, let Chet stay at the 5? And you're going to throw out, SGA, Caruso, Dort, J-Dub still at the 4, and Chet at the 5. That way you can run 5 out, which is, kind of how they like to run their offense, heavy isolation with SGA, 4 shooters around him. You can't really do that with Hardenstein. Um, I don't know. I'm not sure how much I love Chet at the 5 at this stage of his career. He still got to put on some muscle, put on some weight, right? Needs to, be able to hit the glass better. So I wonder what they'll do. But I do expect him to start Caruso and leave Chet at the 5. They get Isaiah Joe back. That's big for them. Aaron Wiggins. Like, they lost nothing. The only thing they lost was Giddey in return for Alex Caruso. That's an upgrade. Still got Kason Wallace. They're going to be an issue next year. The Magic lose out on the Paul George sweepstakes, lose out on the Klay Thompson sweepstakes. They did get KCP from the Nuggets, so that's solid for them. This is another team where I'm kind of conflicted on what lineup they'll roll out, when fully healthy. Obviously, Paolo and Franz are going to start. You have to start Jalen Suggs just because he's the best, perimeter defender on your team. And then naturally, because Paolo or Franz aren't going to play the 5, you need a big out there, right? So that leaves one spot. Are you going to throw a point guard out there, like a Cole Anthony or Markelle Fultz? Or do you start KCP where Paolo would now be forced to run the 1? We all knew one of the Magic's biggest issues this past season was spacing and, 3-point shooting. So you would expect KCP to start, especially because he can do that while still being a very good defender. But again, that kind of leaves Paolo trapped at the 1 because he can't run the 5. I wouldn't expect them to do that or, have a small ball lineup. So, yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. I expect them to start Paolo, Jalen Suggs, KCP, Franz, and probably like Wendell Carter. Jonathan Isaac started in the playoffs, but I don't know if he can do that throughout an 82-game regular season on a high-minute load. So, wait, do they even still have? Wendell Carter Jr. didn't leave, right? I don't think I've seen anything about that. If I did, I can't remember. Obviously, this is a team here, the Philadelphia 76ers, who made some big moves. Obviously, the bigger one, or the biggest one, being the Paul George signing a 4-year max deal. They re-signed Maxey to an extension, rookie max extension, I believe. You get Kelly Oubre Jr. back, which I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to keep him. You lose Tobias Harris, which is a plus for them. You bring in Andre Drummond as your backup big. You get Eric Gordon here. So they've definitely got some pieces for sure. They've got a big 3 with Embiid, PG, and Maxey. And Paul George will not take the ball out of the hands of either of those guys because he doesn't need the ball to be effective. Obviously, the ball will be in his hands in stretches, but he can definitely play, a catch-and-shoot role. He can definitely get out in transition here and there. So Paul George, I think, will fit seamlessly with this current roster. I do think if Embiid stays healthy, they are right in the thick of things, could very easily find themselves in the NBA Finals. If all goes well, they just got to stay healthy and they got to perform. And, I'm sure Maxey has maybe even just a little bit of a small jump still left in him from, this past season to this upcoming season. But if not, even so, as currently, they don't need him to be anything crazier than he's already been with the addition of a Paul George. So I'm interested to see who will be the 2 between those 2 in this scenario, right? Because I think most of us have Paul George as a better player, but Maxey will probably have the ball in his hands more and be, the primary decision maker and whatnot. So we'll see. Hopefully they're able to just kind of mesh well and don't really butt heads role-wise, which I don't expect. The Suns haven't done anything crazy. I know they were looking to get, Shane Goon in a trade or something. Yeah, I don't know why the Rockets would do that, but yeah, they get Mason Plumlee on a 1-year deal. It's probably their biggest move, and that isn't saying much. Denny Avdija, of course, is on the Blazers. Not much to talk about there. Kings traded for Jalen McDaniels. They saw what his brother did in the postseason and thought, hey, let's take a risk on his brother. They get Malik Monk back. A lot of people expect them to lose out on him this offseason, so that's a good move for them. Alex Lynn, they're still trying to do some moves from what I've heard. So we'll see what they end up doing. Chris Paul on a 1-year deal to go to the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, they brought him in to kind of mentor some of those younger guys while also giving Wemby a legitimate just pick and roll maestro. You know, somebody's going to find him easy shots. Someone's going to make his job a lot easier. That's kind of all this is about. Chris Paul gets to play under Pop. Very interesting. We'll see what the Spurs do next year. Hopefully, Devin Vassell has a jump in him. We know Wemby will have a jump in him, of course. Jeremy Sochan. They've got a couple of pieces. I don't know why they still have Keldon Johnson. I don't think he's very good, but they're hanging on to him. So we'll see what they end up doing. The Toronto Raptors. Yeah, that's right. They got Davion Mitchell. And that's just really re-signing a whole bunch. Oh, yeah, and Sasha. So then that's right. It was Jalen McDaniels for Davion Mitchell and Sasha Vezenkov. The Kings were fine moving off of Davion Mitchell because they just drafted, what's his name? Damn it, I forget his name, but he's a good player. I compared him to Derek White. Yeah, I mean, the Raptors, they're just kind of teetering on a 10 to 13 seed. I don't expect much from them this coming season. Hopefully Scotty gets better. RJ Barrett and whatnot. And then you got the Jazz, not really doing much, but they are shopping Larry Markkinen, I do believe. And then, of course, the Wizards have Malcolm Brogdon. For whatever reason, they go and get Jonas Valanciunas. And I don't understand. Because first off, you have Alex Sarr, who you literally just drafted the other day. I expect Jonas is at this stage of his career where he still wants to start, but I don't see both of those guys starting in the front court together, especially with Kuzma still being there, right? So maybe he's okay coming off the bench. I mean, I'm sure before he signed his contract, he was informed of the role he would play. I don't know why the Wizards are trying to get better. I think they should just let their young guys develop, let Kuzma, put up some numbers and just kind of rock out with that. But hey, they give Valanciunas. I know some other teams are looking at Valanciunas. The Washington Wizards, of all people, end up with him. So, yeah. I mean, that's just kind of everything that's happened so far in this year's free agency. Of course, there's still big moves to come. When that does happen, that is something that I will, make a video on if it's, worthy of it, which, again, I do expect still some very big moves to be made, with a Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Larry Markkinen, maybe a couple of other guys like a Ben Simmons or something, although I'm not sure how relevant that is in the big 2024. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully my next video, I'll end up, going back to the tier list. I got some ideas, so we'll see what I end up doing. But until then, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next tier list.